I got new valve cover gaskets because my passenger side, I think my valve cover gasket was leaking onto the exhaust manifold. I saw oil drip down it and just filled up with smoke. I think it was a valve cover gasket because this is a valve cover now. That's the back side. This is the passenger side, and there's a piece in there. It might have been cracked already, but what happened was me and my buddies were trying to get it off, and the back end, you couldn't get it up far enough, it would hit the rear cam bearing. So yeah, it hit the rear cam bearing. It hit the rear cam bearing. This was in the way, so you can't push it up. Well, anyways, we tried to pull it out that way and pull it up at the same time, and it just shattered. And the good part is you can't get these at a parts store. You can't get these anywhere besides Parts Geek, American Muscle. So just for one of these is almost $200. And that's, yeah, I can get two aluminum ones for $300, but just the stock one is $200. And that went from being a very simple hour job to that's gonna sit here for a few days because I have to order it because I was impatient. So lesson learned. It's been a few days, but I got the valve cover in. They call it a cam cover. Ordered it at work, so I got it at a discount, which would still hurt my wallet, but you know, we're gonna put it on over lunch. So I'm home from work. I've got my valve cover and a couple bolts I was missing. As you can see, it's kind of been open. I left the car right here for a few days. Probably wasn't the best idea, but oh well. But what I'm planning to do is unhook that AC line back there, because if that's out of the way, I'll be able to stick the valve cover in there. In order to do that, for anyone that doesn't know, this is how you do it. You want to drain your AC, evacuate your AC. This is an evacuator. You get your gauges, you hook up to your high side and your low side, open them up. Don't open these yet. You take this hose right here, which I actually forgot to do, but it won't work without it. You take this hose right here, and you're going to screw it in to your evacuator. I have dye all over my hands now. You also need to plug it up, which would probably be a good idea. So the machines do vary. A lot of dealerships have these big, tall cabinet machines. I do not have that. But what you're going to do is you're going to hook it up to your recycle bottle. And before you start it, now that everything's hooked up, you want to open all your valves. I usually just do it in this order because it makes sense. And then this has the recover. You're going to recover it, and you're going to turn it on. That probably wasn't good, but oh well. And then it'll suck it down and evacuate the system. And when you go to cut it off, you want to reverse the order. You're going to close that valve, close this valve, close this valve, cut these two valves off, and cut it off. And all my refrigerant leaked out because Schrader valves are old, and I messed with them and then messed them up. This is not a vacuum machine, so I usually only take it down to 10, but it went down to 20 pretty quickly, which is fine. Now it's got a vacuum on it. A lot of times it'll build back residual pressure, but for this specific scenario, it most likely won't. It won't really matter. That cam doesn't look awful. I don't see any marks on it, any tears. All these rockers are tight, which is what they're supposed to be no matter what anyone wants to tell you. So with that out of the way, I'm going to take this hose off. Close the valve and take the hose off. It's out of my way. And then I'm going to take this, and that line's perfectly in the way. So this is a tool you're going to use right here. It's just a quick disconnect tool. It's a 5/8, and the lock is actually on the other side of that. So if I take this, push it around the line like that, and I take it, and I should be able to pull it theoretically, but I can't. Okay, so I think that line is more or less seized together. This does not want to go far enough in it to make a difference. So the other option I have, because that will move a little bit, is remove it on the condenser side. And I'm sure there's 1,000 better ways to do this, but that's not what this is going to be. So since this is in a vacuum, that's probably harder to get, but this should also suck in if I pull it. I want to be gentle. So I'm going to redo my whole AC anyway, so I'm not too worried about getting anything undone or leaving anything undone. Next, I'm going to get this little clip down here. I usually, it's not focusing, but I usually just take a pocket screwdriver and pop them if it's my own vehicle, because I don't care about my own vehicle that much. And then that should, if it's out of the way, move enough for me to get my cam cover back there. Unless there's another clip, which there very well be. I need that out of the way. So this is an actual Ford part. I got it from the Ford dealership because I get discounts at work. It actually came with a gasket and came with the grommets for the bolts. That's pretty nice. So this is going to be easier to do without recording. I'm going to try to slip it in there and hopefully not break it this time. So that's already in the AC line. And that's my orifice tube, which I didn't realize. But this whole system's going to be completely dirty. I manhandled that thing. I'm not sure if it'll go back into place. But this is in there, and it's not broken. I had to undo this harness to get it out of the way. Every single one of these coils is loose, which is aggravating. But, yeah. I'll get that fixed up, and that'll be good. I also got these new valve cover bolts because I was missing some, and I couldn't find any at Lowe's, and nobody sells them. So I got 3 of them for $3.25. So my plan is to put those on the back 3 because that's where it was dripping from. That one right there didn't have a bolt in it. That one did. That one did. The rest of them did. That one didn't. So I'm going to put new ones there, there, and there. And just for safe caution, they were new, so I figured why not. And a tip is, when you're doing something, taking something off, do the hardest one first. When you're doing anything, do the hardest one first. But with valve covers, I like to just get them started and then tighten down the hardest ones first. That's the easiest way to do it and the easiest way I found to do it. So maybe that'll help somebody. So I got that bolted in. I've got to tighten these two because that was in the way of my wrench. But when I was doing it, the coils are loose. So I've got a 7mm. And I was going to tighten them up. Unless they're smaller than 7mm, ain't no way. They are. Wow. So I am managing to get a 1/4 inch kind of on there and tighten it down. Of course, everything's in the way. Very slow going, but I don't want my coils to be loose. Not that it'd make a whole lot of difference, but I'm gonna do it right. So these are the gaskets I got before I got the valve cover, because originally these were just going to be gaskets, but I messed it up. The reason I like these grommets so much is because they're metal and they won't let you squeeze but so much down on the gasket, so you can't really mess it up. I've got zip ties because my lights currently are not in. The pins I got, there's no holes there. They don't even fit these lights. These are aftermarket lights. So, I'm gonna zip tie them in. One weird thing I noticed is this isn't plugged up to anything, and I actually don't know what it plugs up to. I don't see anything right off, and I actually don't see anything in general. I pulled on a bunch of wires to make sure none of them are loose, and they aren't. So I guess it's just one of the many wires that are, once again, not going anything. Like this one right there, or this one right there. That does plug up, but I don't know what it does, so I'm leaving it unplugged. But I checked the oil. That was good, perfect level, which is weird because it was burning oil. I got the AC line back on. No AC, no refrigerant. I got that booted up. I got to get the oil cap, and then I'm going to take it for a test drive. Hopefully it cranks. All right. I don't know what that plug does, but if it cranks, I'm just going to zip tie it up out of the way. Well, that's not good. On 30 more seconds of investigating, it goes down there. So I'm hoping that is the cause. It was kind of in the same wiring harness as the map sensor, so let's find out. That's a lot better. Woo! Sounds meaner too. Now, being this is the first drive, I'm not just gonna open it up, but seems to be doing pretty good. Seems to like the valve cover. The reason I changed it was because it was smoking up the hood, and it actually started smoking in the cab, and the oil was just dripping onto the header. I also had a big oil leak under it, which I think is probably the same thing. So hopefully I fixed it with both of those, but I'm gonna get it hot and find out. Just got back from a pretty long cruise. Went and picked up my buddy, hung out with him a little bit, and recorded really well. Forgot to roll up the windows, but it started misfiring, and the battery light started coming on. So might be the alternator. I did check the codes. I brought the scan tool from work home, so it could be the coil F had a circuit malfunction, and I'm kind of assuming it's because I had it unplugged, but I'm not entirely sure. It was misfiring, but the battery light was on, so I'm assuming it could be another alternator. Either way, I'll do a little bit more diving next time. The car didn't smoke, didn't leak oil, didn't burn nothing, and did really well. So yeah, I call that a pretty good success.